Am I the asshole in a rage? I flashed my father-in-law right in front of my mother-in-law. My husband's parents came to stay with us for the week. They live about 2.5 hours away. I sleep in shorts and a tank top. Well, this morning I woke up and made some coffee and sat down at the table to drink it. Soon after, my father-in-law came in and got himself a cup and sat across from me. We have a nice conversation about how the family is doing, etc. A few minutes passed and my mother-in-law came in, and got her coffee and sat down next to her husband. She started staring me down. After a minute she hatefully asked if I like having my tits all out in front of her husband. I was mortified and rather pissed off, so I told her it was a fucking tank top, and if I wanted to show him my tits, I would just do this, and pulled up my shirt and flashed him my bare breast. I immediately realized what I just did and got insanely embarrassed and hightailed it to my room. I instantly heard her got to the guest room, and within a few minutes I heard their suitcases being wheeled down the hallway, and the front door slammed. I immediately called my husband crying. He soon was crying too, crying from laughter. I feel terribly, but this lady has always tore me down and has always been hateful towards me for no reason other than the fact I took her little baby boy from her. I know I went over the top crazy, but she has been pushing me there for over 20 years. I tried to call and apologize but she won't take my call. How big of the a-hole am I? If your mother-in-law has a history of belittling you, some might argue that you were pushed to your breaking point. Her comment was not only rude but also invasive. Gratuitously insult the hostess before breakfast in her own kitchen, reap the reward. Not the asshole. Tell your husband it is clear that his parents will be more comfortable staying in a hotel. Do not put up with being called a whore in your own house. Be firm. Not the asshole. I mean, maybe you took it an extra mile with exposing yourself, but yeah, you stood your ground and made your point. I guess tears of joy. Is this even real? Tears of joy. The only way YWBTA is if your father-in-law's eyes popped out of his head and he died of a heart attack. And even then, I'm not so sure. He would have died doing what most straight men want to die doing, staring at boobies. Not the asshole. I'm not giving a call here because this was epic even if wildly inappropriate. Maybe get hubby to check Phil wasn't offended because he's the only person you might owe an apology to, as your husband is clearly entertained as all F. You don't owe her an apology. Apologize to father-in-law and move on. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my friend and her kids stay with me after she got evicted? I, 28F, have been friends with Kara, 30F, since college, and we've always had a good relationship. She has 2 kids, 5M and 3F, and is a single mom. Over the years, we've kept in touch, but her life has been pretty chaotic. She struggles financially, which I get, and I've helped her out with money here and there, but I've never expected anything in return. A few weeks ago, she called me in a panic because she was being evicted. Apparently, she hadn't paid rent in months and was out of options. She asked if she and her kids could move in with me, just for a few months, until she got back on her feet. Here's the thing. I live in a small, 1-bedroom apartment, and I work from home. I barely have space for myself, let alone 3 more people, 2 of them being toddlers. Plus, Kara has a bit of a track record of not getting her life together, and I worried that a few months could turn into a much longer, more permanent situation. I told her I couldn't let her and the kids stay with me because of my living situation, but I'd be willing to help her look for other options, like shelters or low-income housing programs. She got really upset and said I was being selfish and abandoning her in her time of need. She pointed out that I'm single with no kids, and I should be able to help since I don't have any real responsibilities. She accused me of being a bad friend for not stepping up when she needed me the most. Now she's barely talking to me, and I feel awful, but I also feel like I'm being realistic about what I can and can't offer. So, am I the asshole for refusing to let her and her kids stay with me, even though she's in a really bad situation? Absolutely not the asshole. You don't have the space. And you have responsibilities to keep yourself afloat. A person thinking that you don't have any real responsibilities, only because you don't have children, doesn't sound like someone who respects you as a person, but sees you as a free help to keep around. You offered her options, and after she hasn't paid rent in months, she should go down from her high horse and be happy about any help she can get. Sorry that it had to end like that, but I think it is better to lose such a friendship than to have to help them all over for not even respect in return. Not the asshole. That's a guilt trip because you're not giving her what she wants. It sounds like you have been a great friend, and she is showing you that she isn't one to you. Toddlers in a 1-bedroom with 2 adults is asking way too much for cooperation, he assumed. I can't believe she would tell you that you have no responsibilities while asking for your help. Very dismissive and disrespectful. Not the asshole. You don't have room. It's that simple. You've helped her out financially in the past. Not being able to magically make your 1-bedroom into a 3-bedroom plus office shouldn't mean you're now a bad friend. If you bring 3 people, 2 of whom are tiny kids, into your WFH situation where there is nowhere for you to go besides your bedroom, and to be honest I doubt you'd get privacy and quiet even there, you'll both have financial difficulties because your work would suffer. And I somehow doubt you would only be covering the rent. My guess? You'd also be doing childcare and paying for food. Not the asshole. A 1-bedroom apartment? This is easy. No way a landlord will allow you to move in 3 additional people. Case closed. Not the asshole. Your explanation as to why you can't take her in makes sense, and you offered to help her find other housing. And rather than explain her feelings or try to see where you're coming from, she stopped talking to you. If she's ready to drop the friendship the moment you no longer can offer something, then it seems like the relationship was purely transactional. Not the asshole. Firstly, in this case it's completely unreasonable. There's no way they'll fit. Even if you did have a large place, you're under no obligation to provide housing. Am I the asshole for going to Dad's house to eat with my little sister after school on Mom's parenting time? My parents are divorced and my sister, 12F, and I, 15M, split time between Mom's house and Dad's house. Our older brother, 18M, lives with Dad now. My mom is married and has stepkids and younger bio kids with her husband. They struggle financially and because of money issues, they also don't have a lot of food at their house. They get help from food pantries and stuff but they still don't have a lot of food or choices. And some of it is older and not fresh, tasty. This isn't enough to change custody. I'd like to live with Dad and so would my sister. My brother felt the same. The judge doesn't take what we want into account when we're under 18 and I know that from my brother and the money issues and food issues didn't make a difference either. We were in court last month and the judge said shared custody continues. Dad gave his keys to his house and he always said we could go to his house after school and eat if we wanted to. So I take my sister and we eat there. My step and half-siblings go to Mom's house and they normally wait until their dad or my mom gets home for dinner since there isn't always enough for something after school. We all qualify for free school lunches. Except the younger kids who go to daycare. My mom's husband found out what we were doing the other week because he saw me and my sister leave Dad's house and walk back to his and Mom's house. He got out of work early. He told Mom and she confronted me about what we were doing at Dad's and then she asked if we got food there. I didn't say yes but she figured it out and she told me it was disgusting to only take my sister or to bring nothing back for the other kids. She told me I should be ashamed. She yelled at Dad too. She told me I'm wrong to do something like that in such a selfish way and she even asked me how I could do that every other week knowing I have siblings at her house that don't eat after school until dinner. Her husband was super pissed too because he knows Dad could afford for us to take stuff for the other kids but we don't. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. It isn't your dad's responsibility to feed anybody else's kids. The judge won't do anything because he's limited to operate within the confines of the law as it's written. Someone has to file a complaint against the mom for negligence for it to be logged with the court. Either call CPS or go to your school social worker. Explain that you and your sister are not provided adequate food at your mom's house and that she is refusing to allow you to access the food resources readily available at your dad's house, despite not being home herself. Ask for a guardian ad litem to represent you and little sis in future custody litigation. Food restriction is something that CPS takes very, very seriously. Not the asshole for going to your dad's house to eat, particularly since there's not much food at your mom's. You're just trying to make sure you and your sister are taken care of, and while your mom might be frustrated with the situation, it's not your responsibility to feed the other kids. It's up to her and her husband to handle that. Not the asshole tell your mom how dare she continue to have children she can't feed. This is not on you, this is 100% on the adults. Tell mom and stepdad that by eating at your dad's house allow more of their food going to the rest of the family. Your dad is only responsible for his bio kids and the fact that he is feeding you even on his non-visitation days is actually saving your mom's family money. Not the asshole. It is not your dad's responsibility to feed kids that are not his. He is a great father to make sure you are being fed daily. Your mother should be grateful that he is making sure you eat and that takes a burden off of her. Your dad needs to get an attorney. Normally at your age you get a say where you live. On a personal note, if I was unable to feed my children on a regular basis I would let them live with Dad until I was in a better situation. My children's needs would come before my pride. It may be she is receiving child support and doesn't want to give that up. Not the asshole. Mom should be the adult here and discuss with your father you and your sister spending more time at Dad's until she is in better financial ground. Not only will this benefit you, sister, it will her stepchildren. Am I the asshole for telling my managers off after they made me hide a box of feminine products to our clients? So basically, I work in a studio, right? While I was working it felt like I started my period. So like any woman would, I went to the bathroom on the studio floor and searched for some pads and tampons and there were none in there. So I cleaned myself up and went in the back to ask for feminine products and if I could put some in the bathroom on the studio floor. They said yes and I grabbed some boxes, and as I was going to walk out, my male keynote manager asked if I was going to take the boxes on the floor and if I could take the back door that leads to the other side of the building to ultimately hide the feminine products. I said yes, I am going to the floor, and asked why he wanted me to hide them. Annoyed ATP, he scoffed and said never mind, just go ahead. So I walk out, and before I even get to the floor where our clients were, another male manager asks if I am gonna just show the boxes to everyone, as if the pads and tampons were something inappropriate. I said, what is the issue and why is everyone asking me to hide the feminine products? He goes on to say it's professionalism, and it's unprofessional to be walking around with them. And I respond with, every woman in this room has had a period before, so I'm not sure what the issue is. He didn't say anything and I walked off to put the products in the restroom. Am I wrong for feeling like feminine products are nothing to be hidden or something seen as unprofessional? Or should I have just used the back door? We had a decent amount of people on the floor. But still, am I the asshole? Edit. I forgot to mention that when I asked, I said a client was asking for them, not for me. So that's why I wanted to put them in the bathroom. Not the asshole you were working to stock products in the studio floor restroom for any female employee or guest who needs to use them. If these grown adult men have never seen them before, then a slideshow presentation should be put on for them by HR so they know what they are and what they are used for. Feminine products should be available in every unisex restroom because that is one of the orders of business that takes place in a restroom that females use. Have they ever been in a pharmacy, supermarket, or retail store? Ever seen ads on TV? They are adults, and I'm sure they can handle this. Definitely not the asshole. What's unprofessional is their attitude, because how could you get hired with low common sense as to what females need? Let alone anybody on this earth. It's not a drug, and every female who has reproductive organs need these types of things SMH. No matter what they have going on. Just reading this post makes me want to 1. Follow the manager's orders in the most attention-drawing manner possible. E.g., take pads, tampons around by back route, all the while loudly and repeatedly warn people that you are carrying pads, tampons, and not to look at the boxes. 2. Ostentatiously sneak around with the boxes, hiding them under a jacket. Ask people, in the most suspicious manner possible, if they want some. 3. Run around shouting, ooh, spooky, I'm the Halloween pad, tampon monster. Not the asshole. Your managers are acting like pads and tampons are some kind of scandalous contraband when, in reality, they're just basic necessities for half the population. It's ridiculous to make you feel like you have to sneak around for something so normal. Not the asshole. Only way you are the asshole is if they would have asked you to hide toilet paper too. It's not any different. I can see hiding bodily functions and the products for dealing with them in a professional setting, but they should want to hide all of them. I'm a bit old and was raised by members of the silent generation. Bodily functions were not considered polite things to even admit existed to them. I'm glad you put the products where your female clients can get to them. They too have unexpected events, and it is only a basic kindness to provide products. I wonder what your management would have done if you could have told them you were specifically taking them for a client. Edited to put my actual asshole perspective first. Info. How is restocking other common bathroom items treated? Soap, paper towels, toilet paper, etc. Expecting period hygiene products to be treated the same as other hygiene products is totally reasonable. So if you would openly carry TP and bathroom soap through the busy gallery, NTA, but if that's usually done discreetly and out of sight of the clients, then YTA.